My boyfriend slept with another woman and claims I wanted him too. I'm 27F, my boyfriend is 28M. My hands are shaking, so sorry if there are typos. I don't know if I'll be able to explain what just happened. I'm in a hotel room right now, just falling apart. I live with my boyfriend, Jack. We've been together for 2 years. The relationship has been good. Sex is frequent, we say I love you often, and both of us participate in each other's family functions. I don't have any major complaints, and to my knowledge, he hasn't been unhappy. I am deeply in love with him. I came home today about an hour early. I had started to get a migraine at work, which isn't super unusual, and once I started to get nauseated, I decided I should just go home and lie down. It doesn't happen a ton, but maybe a few times a year when I decide to take the afternoon off. My boyfriend works nights, so he is often home during the day. He pulled into the driveway, and his car was there. It's not unusual, he doesn't work until the evening. I parked on the street out front like I always do, you can't really hear the car from that distance unless you're really listening, and went into the apartment. The bedroom is on the far side of the apartment from where I came in, so you usually can't hear a key in the lock or anything, especially with the air conditioning on. It was. I said hello as I came in, but I could immediately see that the air conditioning was on in the bedroom. It's a separate window unit and pretty loud. I opened the door to say hello to Jack, and there he is, right in the middle of having sex with a girl doggy style. They both froze, and she looked really shocked. He was just sort of expressionless. She immediately sort of scrambled for the sheets, but he just sat there. I guess I was in shock because I actually walked into the bedroom where they were and got my suitcase from under the bed. I even said excuse me to the girl fucking my boyfriend. I went to my closet and threw a bunch of clothes in the case, and all the while he's constantly talking. I can't remember everything he said, but I distinctly heard him say, I wanted to surprise you, we've wanted to spice things up in the bedroom. I didn't say anything and left and came to this hotel. We've discussed having a threesome in the past, and I even said I would possibly be open to it at some point in the future. I told him I found the idea exciting, but that we would need to discuss things and find the right person if it was actually going to happen. I never wanted him to just surprise me out of the blue. He's been blowing up my phone ever since. He's left several voicemails and sent about a dozen texts. He said things didn't go as he imagined, but he thought it would be sexy to have a spontaneous threesome. He said he was trying to fulfill my fantasy. I've been crying for the last 3 hours. I have no idea what to think at this point. I think he's lying to me, but what if he really thought he was doing what I wanted? Is it possible he's just that clueless? Please help. Update 1. Firstly, thank you all for your comments and advice. My gut knew that I had to end the relationship, but I needed a kick in the pants to actually do it. The apartment we live in is actually owned by my uncle, with whom I am very close. I live there for free while attending graduate school. It is part of a building he owns and was his way of helping me afford to further my education. He had no problem with my boyfriend also living there, on the condition that he help out with managerial duties and repairs around the building. I called my uncle and told him the circumstances, and he called Jack and told him he needed to find a new place to live. He's not on a lease or anything, so hopefully it won't be a legal issue. I haven't responded to Jack in any way since yesterday. I returned to the apartment this afternoon, after going to the doctor to get tested for STDs, thankfully clear so far. Jack was there. Since he spoke with my uncle, he knew that I was breaking up with him and wanted him out. He immediately tried to argue with me, saying once again that the whole thing had been intended as a gift for me. I just ignored him as I went around the place packing his things. He also said that the only reason he started without me was that he wanted to get used to the two of them together so things wouldn't be awkward when I arrived. Apparently, he thought having sex with her first would make the threesome go smoother. I didn't even look at him, I just kept packing. I'm proud of myself that I didn't cry. I think I was past the point of crying. He kept blabbering on, saying that he just wanted to test the waters with the other person so that when the time came, they could both focus totally on me. The final straw was when he said that I was being totally unreasonable and ungrateful for the effort he was putting into our sexual relationship. I stared at him for a minute, and then I just started laughing. I couldn't control it. I must have laughed hysterically for a full minute. He got angry, but finally shut up and stopped trying to justify himself. I asked for his key and then told him to leave. I said that he could call to arrange a time to come pick up all his things, but not to contact me for any other reason. His parents live in the same city, so I know he has somewhere to stay. He left, looking pretty forlorn. I didn't ask how long he'd been cheating on me. Just knowing about the one incident was enough. He's obviously not the person I thought he was. I don't feel like I even know him anymore. I'm still sad, but I'm going to be okay. There's no way I could keep someone like that in my life. Thanks again for all the encouragement and motivation to end it for good. I knew the truth in my heart, but I needed to know I wasn't crazy. I'm going no contact with my mom after I found out what she did to my late dad. Throwaway account. Because I don't want this tied to my main. I'm 21M and lost my dad to self-annihilation 11 years ago. It was terrible, to say the least. I loved my dad and looked up to him. We were really close because I was his only child, and him and my mom didn't have any other children back then. After his death, my mom remarried a man named John, and they had 2 kids together, my half-sisters. John was alright. He always treated me well. Back to the topic, I never knew the reason why my dad took his life. I always thought it was because of me. So my mom put me into therapy when I was like 11. Therapy did help eventually, but I always wanted to know what pushed him. About 2 years ago, I went to visit my paternal grandparents. They always stayed in my life, and they were always good to me. My dad was their only child, so I can't imagine what it must have been like to lose their son. Anyway, the topic of my dad came up, and my grandmother started tearing up. I just asked her what's wrong. She said that she can't handle this and wanted me to know what she thinks drove my dad to suicide. She said that 2 months before his death, he found out my mom had an affair with her now husband John. My dad was crushed and went into a deep depression. So he took his own life. My grandfather was there, and he confirmed it. I asked why they didn't tell me sooner because I should have known. They basically said I was young and I shouldn't have been burdened by this and that they didn't want to ruin the image and relationship of the only parent I had. And they were also afraid that my mom might not let them see me again. To say that after hearing I was a mess is an understatement. I didn't confront my mother immediately. I went back to uni, and it took me weeks to confront her. During these weeks, I was distant, so my mom just thought I was busy. When I went back home during the summer, I confronted her. As soon as I just mentioned that I knew about her affair with John, she immediately broke down crying, saying that it was never supposed to be like this. That my dad was never supposed to find out about the affair. That she has guilt for all that went down. She was just sobbing and crying out loud. Then John heard her cry and wondered what happened. I told him that I knew about the affair, and his face just went pale. I basically told my mom that I will never see her again and that I will never forget nor forgive her for this and that I will go no contact with her. She begged me and kept apologizing, but I just left the house and went back to my dorm and kept crying. It's been 2 years now, and I refuse to see mom and her husband. I know that my dad taking his own life is a choice and no one is responsible for it. And that no other person one can control their own mental health. I just can't get past that maybe if my mom didn't do something that's selfish, my dad would have still been here. Ida?
I told my husband that if he pays me an hourly rate, I'll do more housework. I am a steam fitter. But I've been at it for a while and I'm in supervision. With bonuses and incentives but not counting benefits, I earn over $100 an hour. I also work out of town. I started doing that once the kids were old enough to take care of themselves with their dad at home. So when my youngest was in middle school and the oldest was a junior in high school. It is great. Our retirement savings are piling up and we have been able to splurge on the kids. And ourselves. My husband is upset, however, because I decided to pay for a cleaning lady. He and I discussed it and we agreed that him and the kids didn't do a great job keeping the house clean and tidy while I was away. I hated coming home to a mess. It caused a few fights because it was like they expected me to come home and clean up after them. Having her is fantastic. I come home to a clean house and I am happier. My kids have more time to study and do extracurriculars. They still have chores and they are still expected to clean up after themselves. My husband came to me last time I was home and said we should cut back on the service when I'm home. That I should be doing more housework. He thinks that we are wasting money. I said that I work 14 days in a row and that those are 13-hour days. Yes, it is mostly paperwork, but his job as a teacher isn't much more physically challenging. I said that I could offer him 2 options. If he wanted, we could completely get rid of the service and him and the kids could make sure the house was in good shape when I got home. Or he could pay me my hourly rate to do extra housework when I'm on my days off. He is upset with me, insists that I'm being financially manipulative. I think if he and the kids actually did what they are supposed to do when I'm away, bone of this would be an issue. Reddit.